This is being young. The days of endless summers, learning that you're never too old to learn, to dream big, or to find your voice, and lose it again. It's making your first major decisions, being kind, adventurous, being vulnerable.
Vulnerability's hard.
We had a permit. We had a plan. We went.
I think that about sums it up. Why the hell did I do that? I was miserable. It was not good for my mental health.
There's maybe a handful of things that I think were core experiences that I know fundamentally shifted who I am as a person.
Cue the anxiety.
A lot of our friendship was forged behind a windshield. I'm alive.
Yes, in hindsight, I would do things completely differently.
I would never have chosen to be in some of the situations that we landed in, but we got out of them.
And I was like, are you okay?
I wasn't. Is it Yither?
Is it Yonder? Welcome to Yither and Yonder.
Okay. Where do we start?
Who we are? How we met? What we're doing here? I feel like those are all good questions to answer.
Well, I'm Nikki.
I'm Emily, or M.
I don't remember the exact course listing. I think it was something like folklore and environment.
Yes.
We ended up chatting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember even how many times we had hung out before I was like, have you been to the Eastern Sierra?
No.
We need to go.
I'm in.
And we had planned very naively like 4 trips.
Yeah.
Weekend trips from Eugene, Oregon to essentially Mammoth Lakes.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a 13.5-hour drive that we were shooting for weekend trips. So 13 hours of driving a day and 13 hours of driving. I think with the first one we were like, oh yeah, like late April. No, not late April.
There was snow.
Yeah, in Oregon, I believe it was actually snowing, let alone in 8,000 to 9,000 foot Eastern Sierra off 395 in my Prius C, the smallest Prius you can purchase with the least clearance and no 4-wheel drive.
It was an experience.
We realized that May was probably a better month to start. Yeah. When you get to Reno, you get on 395, you see the beginning of the big mountains. But there's a point, you kind of pass Carson City and you pass the entrance to go to Bodie.
Yes.
And then there's a curve.
Yeah, and there's all the stickers on the guardrail.
Mm-hmm. And there is a very picturesque moment where you pass the turnoff for Virginia Lakes and you turn in between this like break in the mountains that is the pass. And you just went, oh, big mountain.
Yeah.
They're very big.
They are. So I'm from the southeast United States, and we have mountains. We have the Appalachian Mountains, and they're beautiful and they're old. And when you're in them, you can feel how incredibly old they are. They will, I think, forever be some of my favorite mountains. But when you're standing in the Eastern Sierra and you're looking at the Eastern Sierra, they big mountains.
I think what's unique about in particular, the eastern side of the Sierra is that you're then kind of in the high desert plateau of like the Owens Valley and the Long Valley Caldera. And because of that, unlike Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
you see all the mountains.
I mean, same for the Appalachians too. I mean, the Appalachians are known for their underbrush and like their really dense foliage. I mean, people get lost all the time because of how densely wooded they are.
Like Denver's very similar because you are on the plains.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look to the mountains, you very much see the mountains. And the Eastern Sierra, it's the same. Whereas the Western side, you do see a lot of those foothills leading into the mountains and it's harder. You can't see the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
But the Eastern Sierra, they kind of just smack you across the face. They're all right there. They're jagged. They're beautiful. And we camped there, 2 or 3 times each summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, maybe really stupidly, do you want to do the John Muir Trail? And you were like, what's that?
I did.
We did it.
Yeah, it didn't take much convincing though.
Do you want to go up there for
11.
211, 215 miles? So that's what kind of brought us to the hike.
Yeah, so we're folklorists that went on a long hike and now we're here.
That is completely accurate. I think a lot of our friendship was forged behind a windshield at 4 a.m. in the dark on, 2-lane mountain highways.
Yep.
Talking about the things that didn't make a lot of sense to us. Why don't people understand what we're doing as folklore? Why is folklore a word that people only associate with things like myth and fairy tales? What in the discipline is failing young academics?
Yeah.
What can we do within the context of our own research, but also more broadly? Because I think very quickly we were both like, academia, not for me.
No.
But with a core belief in a need to redefine what folklore means and make it less antiquated, because I'm sorry I will call them the elders.
Yes.
I am sorry to the elders, but some components of popular culture are indeed folklore.
In fact,
the limiting of how we use the term folklore to disregard what is, like it or not, a very globalized society that has immediate engagement on all things popular culture, which are created by the folk and consumed in mass quantity by other folk. It's happened.
We are the folk. This is our lore.
We had a lot of really big and really cool ideas.
Yeah.
That for one reason or another, more often than not, financially, were not feasible.
No.
We tried them. We did some cool stuff.
Yeah.
We had some cool ideas. Fundamentally, identity and storytelling and connection was what it always came back down to.
Agreed. And even though we have both left academia and we, don't go to folklore conferences anymore, and like folklore is kind of secondary to our jobs, right? Correct me if I'm like
tertiary.
I would say tertiary.
Distant.
It's distant. Storytelling and identity is always present still.
I would argue that it's not present because we went to school for folklore, but we went to school for folklore because it's what matters to us. We were at a conference in Minneapolis, and there were two young women. I feel like they were in a similar position academically, like they had either just finished or were on their way to finishing, and they had like a storytelling presentation.
Yeah.
And I remember their like catchphrase was something like, the shortest line between two people is a story. Right? It was something along those lines.
That, yeah. And there was also a sticker from maybe the Library of Congress that had that on that as well.
They were doing a project. Yeah. Definitely. I think it was federally funded.
Yeah.
Probably by like the American Folklife Society or something. And they were working on, I don't even remember, it was like a database of stories and story collecting, which is really fundamentally the most basic components of folklore, right?
Yeah.
Collection and archive. How do we collect stories and things that are important to people, like fence types at one point, but also more broadly, the stories that we tell ourselves about what it means to be human, how the world was created, how we should act, fables, parables, like all of those things. And how do we connect to other people, but to tell the stories of things we've experienced? Because fundamentally, human experience will connect us more than anything else. a lot of what has allowed us to be such good friends is that humanity is the core of what we care about.
Yes.
And it allows us to step away from academia and continue to do work that is meaningful and still true to what we were academically trained in. And I think you were the first one that said this to me. You were getting a master's degree in empathy.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with that. I think if you value humans doing the most basic human thing, which is to create and connect, that's empathy. I don't care about fence types, but I'm so glad someone does.
Yes. But I also deeply care about the people creating those fences.
Right. There is not much that people create. There is nothing that people create without malice.
Yeah.
That I don't care about.
Yes.
Right? There's too much value in recognizing a human being investing time and energy in creating something to not myself value it because it is important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, completely not related to humans. But as a dog mom, the happiest I ever am is watching my little rescue dog totter over to her big old pile of toys, dig through for the right one,
Mm-hmm.
and then totter on over to the rug where she wants to play with it because I see her happy and fulfilled.
Yes.
And when people are able to create art, to create story, to create material and expressive culture, you see them being fulfilled.
Yeah.
And so I feel very connected to the discipline of folklore still.
Yes.
I myself feel most connected to the art of storytelling
Mm-hmm.
because it's requires nothing.
Yes.
You can speak your story, you can write your story, you can sign your story. It doesn't matter. Right? There's modalities for storytelling for literally everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone can enjoy a story, even if it has to be translated, even if it has to be presented to them, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, why do we love great TV or a great movie?
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes us feel something.
Correct.
And what better way to feel something than with another person that's
Mhm.
telling you about how they felt something?
Yes. This is the first time I've called myself a folklorist in a long time. And because it's not really how I identify anymore, because, in the grand umbrella of folklore, I connect more with storytelling as well. And in the functionality of my job, how people talk about themselves and the way that they tell stories about themselves is the vehicle in which I do work.
I mean, therapy.
Yeah.
How we tell a story tells you everything you need to know about a person's own situational identity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you the victim of the story? Are you the hero?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like how you describe things happening to you, being done to you,
Mm-hmm.
like how people own that reality. It's all storytelling.
It is. It is.
They're
And-
telling their story.
Yes. And I think therapy is a really unique situation because it is one clinical hour in which people get the chance to storytell about themselves in a really uninterrupted way. Like, yes, there's somebody there that's like helping facilitate that storytelling and almost re-storytelling or restorying in a way that can be healing, right? Because it is a healing modality in the context of therapy. I think it's unique in that way. So storytelling has become something in my life now as somebody who is in the career phase of life that is still with me.
My stance has always been, because I have lived in the world where I do equity work as a white person, the best way to help people realize the humanity in other people is to tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have a lot more in common more often than we think we do.
Yeah.
And our differences are superficial, but our experiences are often much deeper than that. And so how do you invite people into that conversation to, even if they are hesitant, like find your humanity.
I think I'm excited to come back almost 10 years later and tell the story of this trail that we did, because we've done it in bits and pieces, you know, behind a windshield, as you said.
To an audience of each other.
Yes. But we've never done it chronologically. We've never done it formally. I'm gonna say this is formally, right? Because we're doing it with a level of intentionality that we've never done before.
We're reminiscing, but with purpose.
Yes. And I think almost a decade down the road, we're having these realizations that are 10 years in the making, and that feel important, because we're the same people, but we're different people.
You know, every person's an onion, right? And you're just peeling back layers. So I don't know, the kernel of self-actualization.
Ooh.
We're going to continue to learn things about ourselves.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I hope.
Because I would like to continue to grow as a person. But I think in the moment, there was so much that it was truly hard to process. And when I think about a lot of the stories that I do tell people, like, they're my best stories. I think about it now and I'm like, I did crazy shit.
Oh,
I would never have chosen to be in some of the situations that we landed in, but we got out of them.
we did. We were actually incredibly lucky.
Knock on wood.
Yes, we lived. We are alive.
Baseline. We survived it.
And there were people that year, because we did the trail in 2017. We were the year of ice and fire, and people died. I mean, people die every year, but people died that year, and we didn't, and
No.
we could have.
We could have, for different reasons.
For different reasons.
There's maybe a handful of things that I think were kind of core experiences that I know fundamentally shifted who I am as a person. Maybe not real time, but gave me like the bits and pieces that older me could sew together to make, you know, the new tougher skin, or like that next vision of myself. I think it's not shocking that there is a long history of the outdoors in the North American continent being a place where privileged people go to find themselves, to heal themselves. I think we all know there's a lot of narratives out there that could be traced back to the, you know, the John Muirs of the world, the Thoreaus, the Emersons, the Whitmans of the world, you know, the Transcendentalist school, the conservation and preservation fight that created our public land system.
Yeah.
And the modern Cheryl Strayeds of the world.
Yes.
That have inspired people to just go outside. That, to me, speaks to, yes, a lot of privilege, but a core fundamental truth that people need nature.
Yes.
We are animals that belong in an ecosystem that we have decided to separate ourselves from and act as though we are somehow above. And that makes us sadder. It makes us weaker. It makes us detached from something that I think is an inherent need. And then we strive to be in a place that we can go back to that.
Yeah. When I got off the trail, I have never felt so regulated.
I was going to say regulated's the word.
At peace, and yet so rewilded. Those things should be juxtaposed to each other, and yet in my body, in those moments when we got off the trail in Onion Valley, they weren't.
Right. The sense of freedom and of simplicity. You get up, you eat the food you packed, you repack your backpack, you walk.
Yes.
That's all you do.
Yeah.
Right? Like
rinse, repeat.
You just walk.
Yeah.
What's on my to-do list today? To go from here to there.
And I will say, there's a part of me that has been chasing those feelings for nearly 10 years.
That simplicity created a lot of space for things that when you are busy as we were.
Mhm.
You're in grad school, you're going through the quarter system. You have 10 weeks to learn everything you need to know about a particular topic that you can regurgitate on a test in a paper. You have to do a research project. Like when you're constantly rotating through that, and like I was teaching at the time, so I have students that I'm then trying to help walk through what they need to get done. I have classes to build, I have papers to grade, I have tests to grade. You're going through counseling school, you're learning how to be that witness to people's storytelling in a
Yeah.
way that's ethical and beneficial to the person. Like it's heavy and it's big, and in a lot of those fundamental components of grad school that are teaching you to be a professional, you don't have a lot of space to truly reflect on things.
No.
The stillness and the repetition created a lot of space to, I'm going to quote Robin Arzon right now, shout out to Peloton, metabolize that trauma, right? Because you're just packing it on.
Yeah.
You just like, ooh, I just got really shitty comments from a professor that made me question my entire self-worth because apparently they're not considering the fact that I'm vulnerable right now and that their words hurt. Oh, I'm just gonna stack that in the back of my brain because I don't have time to think about it right now.
No.
The things that hit hard, and we're 20-somethings.
Yes.
We are 20-somethings that are predisposed to be perfectionists,
Check.
to be people pleasers,
Check.
and to be high achievers.
Check.
Because that is why you go to grad school.
Yeah.
Because you think that that's the next logical step for the thing you want to do.
I mean, there was in my brain, there was no other option than to go to graduate school. And then when I decided to leave the academy, which was not quitting because I was like, I'm going to leave the academy.
You finished.
I finished.
But
I
you left.
I stuck it out to finish my first master's degree, which in hindsight, why the hell did I do that? I was miserable. It was not good for my mental health. My goodness gracious. But I had a shift in which I said, I'm not going to be a professor. I'm going to leave the academy and I'm going to become a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go back to graduate school, aka not quitting.
I finished my first master's and did not need to do another to get the PhD, right?
Yeah.
I did my master's at a school where that was all I could accomplish. My first master's, there was only a PhD in education at Cal State Northridge when I was there. So I had to leave where I was comfortable, where I had community. Like I had been there for 24 years. I had never really left. I hadn't left the country. I didn't have a passport. I'd been on a plane like a handful of times. The first time I got on a plane, I was like 19, like very sheltered and insulated. And I had to go to Oregon to be able to get that PhD. I don't know why it was a good idea to get a second master's in folklore. I have no idea why that was a good idea. It felt good to be associated with something that felt like home because my advisor was a folklorist and that's why she told me to go there. Because I wanted to work with the folklore professors. I wanted to work with Lisa Gilman. I wanted to be in a cohort of people that did similar things because in anthropology, for better or for worse, I was the odd duck.
Yeah.
And I chose to get that second master's. The end of that is when I was like, I will literally die if I try to stay in academia.
I think you said that to me once. And I was like, are you okay?
I wasn't. I knew 2 years in, I had data. I had talked to people. They had shared their stories with me. I had to finish.
Yeah.
Didn't want to. Didn't know what I was going to do with a PhD in anthropology. But I did it because you have to check the box.
Yes.
So much of what academia reinforced in us, perfectionism and people pleasing and striving for things that are perhaps too far from reach, because if you're not familiar with academic jobs and professorship, just know that the rates of retirement and the rates of graduation are wildly disproportionate. So getting any kind of academic job that is feasible to live on is nearly impossible. When I graduated in 2019, the statistic that was shared with us was 8.5 years of applications before landing a tenure track job.
Yeah, and just because you're on a tenure track is no guarantee that you will eventually get tenure, because that is politics.
That's a whole political game.
Yeah.
And so the trail gave us that space
Yeah.
to metabolize
Yeah.
that trauma, that pain, that frustration. And I think it also gave us space to do things that if you had asked us and let our self-deprecating brain speak up, we would have said absolutely not. No, I couldn't do that. But we did. And I think that gave us evidence that there was more that we could do. Like, if I could do that, if I can get to the top of Half Dome and back down, I can do anything.
Indeed. I also, prior to the trail, I think I would have said, like, oh, I don't have a problem with my mental health.
Yep.
And that changed on the trail. So, like, hearing me talk about, like, academia as I understood it when I was in it, I'm like, oh, she was such a privileged little girl, right? And she didn't even realize how in danger she was in terms of, like, her mental health.
I think it took me a lot longer to get there. I have always been aware of my perfectionism because perfection equals love.
Yeah.
Right? Accomplishment equals love. Love was always dependent on being not a problem. And not a problem, to me, means the best.
The best.
I don't think that was what actually was the intention from my mother. I don't think she thought that I should have been perfect. I actually think she resents the things that I have accomplished because of perfectionism complex. But I think the sense of being affection being tied to accomplishment feeds the idea that if you do not accomplish the most and the best, there is no affection.
Yeah.
Right? If neutral is you get nothing unless you do something extraordinary, you're always shooting for extraordinary because you want the affection.
Yes.
And the idea of doing something that is so fucking terrifying because it's unfamiliar, it's dangerous,
yeah,
it's counter to everything that brings me comfort, was exciting and crushing because I knew if I didn't do it, that I would feel like a failure.
Yes. I think yes to all of that. But I was very disconnected from myself. And I don't think I could have articulated that at the time.
Right. And I think you and I have very different processing. I think I'm hyper aware to the point of being a bully to myself while I process. And I think you percolate.
I am absolutely a percolator. And like, I feel my emotions as they're happening, right? Like, so I was very aware that I was like anxious when I was in graduate school and very aware that of any little like, oh, this professor is not happy with my performance. And like, I'm not getting praised in the same way that like I was in undergraduate school. Cause I went from being a big fish in a small pond to a minnow in a very big pond. And it was not a good feeling. And I was like, oh Lord. But the level of percolation and the depth that went to was a lot of percolation and a lot of years of like work.
Yeah. And I think in some ways my processing was less about not being okay and more about realizing that I was making myself not okay. It wasn't something happening to me. It was me happening.
Yeah.
Being able to sit with that in every step I'm taking. I can't pull out Instagram and scroll that away.
No.
There's no service.
No.
Like, it's not only like not an option, but it's like not an option.
There's
right?
There's no distraction.
No. The only distraction you have is a distraction you don't want, which is, what was that noise? Is it a bear? Right? Like, that's the distractions you have are the five senses you have of survival.
Yes.
And that's much scarier than maybe sitting with the fact that I'm crying because my dog isn't here and I need my dog because my dog is the only sense of comfort
Yeah.
that I have because I am 850-ish miles away from home with no real sense of community. Being alone with my thoughts in a truly alone situation, I think made me realize how alone I was in my life surrounded by people.
Yeah. Out there, especially just like as you're plodding along, it's just you and your head. And like I didn't even have like headphones to listen to music. It never occurred to me to bring headphones. And it just gave me so much space to think about everything and nothing. It's exactly what I needed. And I don't have the answers, and I don't think everyone needs to go do a long trail to figure out something in whatever phase of life that they're in. And, I'm certainly not up on a high horse because I got back into the real world, and that feeling of peacefulness immediately went out the window as I jumped back into learning how to be a counselor and back into life and all of the things. But in that particular moment, it's what I needed.
What brought us to exactly where we are here is that this story to us was both transformational because it was an experience that we shared that also gave us space to individually grow and change. And I don't think we experienced everything on the trail identically.
Yeah.
We have great stories about getting giardia and almost being struck by lightning and having panic attacks on Half Dome and seeing a rattlesnake. Or if you're me, not noticing the rattlesnake and meeting a fun cast of characters along the way and having freakouts and guiding each other through freakouts and the humor and the whimsy, all the best bits and pieces that may have been some of the shittiest things to live through, but are the funnest things to talk about, are the signposts for how we got to be in a place where we grew.
Yes.
And so I think the connection of us wanting to tell stories and choosing to be in a program where that was centered and finding each other because of that, we both care so deeply about people and we both want to connect to people. And I want people to have the same resources and opportunity that I had to be able to do this themselves.
Yeah.
So it's partially about us reflecting on our friendship and telling a story of something really cool that we did and being vulnerable about what that meant. But also, this is what we ate. This is the bullshit that we dealt with. This is what we packed. This is what we shouldn't have packed.
Lord.
Here's what we should have done.
Yes.
Right? If you want to do these things, if you're interested in doing a long distance hike, if you want to do a through hike, if you want to go out and touch grass and you're not sure that it's for you, it's also validating that, I'm going to quote Ruby McConnell,
do it.
Every outdoor experience is unique and valid.
Yes.
Period. Under all of this, ultimately, the whole point of this project is to celebrate our friendship, to use storytelling in a positive way, and to allow people to celebrate vulnerability and try new things.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate your support in this retelling of our chaotic adventure. We love to hear from y'all, so reach out on social media at Yither Yonder Pod or send us an email at yitheryonderpod@gmail.com. Find us on your favorite listening platform, and please rate, review, and subscribe because it really does help. Don't forget to check the show notes for resources and helpful links. And if you'd like more content, subscribe on your favorite membership platform. Info's available on our website, yitheryonderpod.com. We've got weekly blogs from each of us, some planning resources from our trip, with tips on what we do differently, and some other fun bonus content. We truly appreciate you joining us on this great adventure. Until next time.